if you have the balls to ask me for something, I have the intestinal fortitude to give it to you. I might leave out a couple things, but you're gonna get in the game, right? That's why the barbecue league's so great. But anyway, finally, I was like, man, I just need to. People are like, just put it in the bottle, and I'm like, let's put it in the bottle, and that's what we did. And it's great. It was designed for brisket, but man, you can run it. I got guys. The biggest compliment to me, man, is whenever people are like, dude, I put this on X, Y, and Z, and it's stuff that I'd never thought about.
They gon' have barbecue. They gon' have barbecue. They gon' have barbecue. They gon' have barbecue. Get your barbecue on. Get your barbecue on. Get your barbecue.
Welcome to the BBQ Therapy podcast. My name is Tavis Bryant of Yago Ham Barbecue. Have you ever stood around a smoker or a grill and felt the world fade away? Now that's BBQ Therapy. Welcome to another episode of the BBQ Therapy podcast, and joining me for a therapy session, we're excited to welcome Chris Webb, the U.S. Army veteran turned competition barbecue powerhouse behind Bushmaster BBQ. With over 100 contests under his belt and more than 25 championships, including 2 reserve grand championships at the American Royal and multiple KCBS titles, Chris has carved out a remarkable reputation on the barbecue trail. But that's not all. He's also the founder of El Paso's first full-service barbecue supply shop, Bushmaster BBQ Supply Company, serving pitmasters of all levels. Chris joins us today to share what fuels his fire, from mastering competition techniques to launching a thriving barbecue retail hub. I got one rule.
Yes,
just welcome to the show.
Yeah,
Make
thanks
yourself
for having
at
me on,
home and just have fun. All right. My first question, I do it differently. Before you went to the military, what was your grilling life with your family?
Oh man, almost bare to none. I'll be honest. We didn't grow up in this big culinary background. I think a lot of people always ask me my story, right? Where you from is the first thing they ask, right? That's how they gauge the level of pitmaster based on introduction is necessarily a region, right? Mm-hmm. So they hear Alabama. Oh, okay. Now I'll be honest. I didn't really get into it until later in life. But no, we grew up on the Gulf Coast in a little town called Daphne, Alabama, which is a suburb just on the eastern shore of Mobile, in between Mobile and Pensacola, essentially. Gulf Coast boy for sure. But honestly, man, my folks didn't cook. We went out to eat a lot. Man, we had a lot of Ruby Tuesdays, but a lot of Waffle House. But no, dude, I didn't cut my teeth until years later. My dad never cooked. When he was a pharmacist for about 40 years,
Oh, wow.
Worked for CVS, Refco, Dale Shams, all Piggly Wiggly, all the brands. But when he retired, I was already owning or working at a barbecue store, so I bought him a Yoder smoker pellet grill. And I'm like, man, the guy's got time. He never cooked. He was always working retail pharmacy hours. I said, man, let me show him what I like to do. And he already knew that and stuff. Man, I bought him that pellet grill. My mom is the pit master at their household. She's got a Yoder or a pellet grill, and she's got a little 30-gallon Gateway drum, man, and she gets after it, dude. But yeah, no cool story there. It just, my journey didn't start till a little bit later in life for sure.
Yeah, but those pellet grills, a lot of people poo them, but it helped me because my first real grill was a pellet grill, and it allows you to focus on the actual cook versus having to worry about the cook and the grill, since it's so easy to operate. So it boosts your confidence into making barbecue. A lot of people down it, but it helped me, and I know it helps a lot of people because it takes time away from having to learn everything. And then once you get confident, you can go get a regular charcoal grill and other stuff like that. But hey, she got out there and got after it. So hey, especially a drum.
Yes, sir. Yeah, and I'll share my mom. She's, you know how old I'm, mid-40s, so she's mid-70s, man. But whenever I'd bought my dad, he probably retired 10 years ago. But then she had took to that pellet, and I was in Colorado, and she goes, you got it, in her southern accent, she goes, y'all got any of them drums laying around? And I said, yes, ma'am. And I said, it was around her birthday. She was sniffing around without saying she was. And then she seen me cook on and win on drums, and she loves the flavor, right? Let's be real. Man, there's a grill for everybody. Mm-hmm. But I think she already had gas grills. She already had pellet. And I think they're awesome. They all have their own place. in our arsenal. But man, she wanted to cook chicken, them half chickens or legs or quarters like her dad did. Her dad was a big charcoal griller, and she missed that flavor. And man, so I sent her, she wanted a 55. I said, Mama, you're only 5'3". I said, you'd never be able to get the fire basket. I said, let's crawl before we walk. If you know anything about drums, man, whether it's a 30, a shorty, or a 55, man, if you know how to run a pit, you'll be fine.
Yeah, definitely. What inspired you to join the military? And thank you for your service in advance.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Man, that's a great question. I was obviously where I grew up, and where I was born was obviously in Daphne, Alabama. And I think all the kids that I grew up with, either you grow up, you go to high school, you play some sort of sport, right? And then you go to college, and you meet somebody in college, and you get married, then you go get a real job and in the 9 to 5, right? So I bought into that because that's how I was raised. That's how my parents did it. But I went to a community college called Southern Union, which is in Opelika, Alabama, which is a suburb of Auburn University. And I was going to utilize that as a feeder, get my basics out of the way and everything. But man, I'll be honest, dude, I couldn't handle it. Man, it was too much. I was 4 hours from home. I liked to party a little bit back in those days, and I got a little bit loose. And my parents came up for a game because they're big Auburn fans. And the community college I was going to was maybe 20 minutes from the University of Auburn. And so they show up just to go to the game. What they're really doing is checking up on my academics. And what they found out was not good. So my dad coincidentally came up there with his pickup truck and a trailer, knowing what his fatherly instinct told him. And I said, where you want to go? You want to go to lunch? You want to do whatever? He's, now let's go down here to the admissions office now. And he pulled them grades, buddy. And man, I was in a pickup truck 2 hours later. Moral of the story is I went back 4 hours south to Daphne, and he gave me an ultimatum, man. I'll be honest. Any parent who cares about their son or their daughter's future, he was like, brother, you're not ready, man. He goes, you got 3 options. He goes, you get a job and you work. He goes, you go to school and you go to school. And he goes, or you get a job and go to school, but at the end of the day, brother, you're living at home. He goes, and you got 7 days to figure out what that looks like. And so on day 6, all procrastinating 18-year-olds in the year 2000, man, I'm sitting on the couch with my buddy having a couple pops in my parents' house. And he's, man, what are you going to do? It almost looked like next Friday, or that movie Friday. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? And all of a sudden, no joke, this Army commercial back in, you're roughly my age, right? And that was like, it was be all you could be. And I saw these dudes, man, climbing out of the swamp. They were camouflaged, doing all this crazy stuff. And it says, who says money can't grow on trees? And I'll be damned, man. It had an 800 number, and I called the 800 number. And yeah, I mean, I joined the Army, I think, subsequently 1 week later. So, yeah. So my dad pulled up, and I asked him if he wanted to go to lunch. It was right the day before the game. He pulled up on a Friday, right? Saturday is the big game. And I would never forget, it was Auburn versus Mississippi State. And my dad's from Mississippi, Auburn fan, but he pulled up and I said, man, where do you want to go? And he told me, he goes, let's go to the admissions office. And we got in that truck and we went down there, and he didn't like what he saw. He politely told me to pack my belongings, and we loaded it up into that truck, man. As far as barbecue is concerned, the funniest thing, and him and I still joke, it was a serious conversation back then, but I had this little kind of Charbroil little offset stick burner. I mean, it's probably, I spent $80, right? And it was in the bed of his truck. And the grill actually flew out on I-65 right around Montgomery. So whoever found that, man, they probably wasn't in good shape, but hey, you got a free grill. So when I got home, he'd given me 3 ultimatums, essentially. He goes, you're going to go to work and live at home. You're going to go to school and live at home, or you're going to go to work and go to school and live at home. So basically, I wasn't ready to live by myself at that point. I like to party a little bit. And I'll be honest, man, I was sitting at home. He gave me 1 week to do these, to find what I was going to do. And on day 6, I was sitting in the living room having a couple pops with my buddy. And, man, I see this deal, man. These guys are coming out of the swamp like this, dude. Oh. They said their slogan or their business model was, who said money can't grow on trees? And it was these snipers coming out of the woods. And I was like, that's it. That's it. I don't come from a long lineage of military personnel. My dad's dad was a Korean War vet. He was an infantry guy like myself. But that was kind of the connection. It wasn't like I was brought into this. I always had a high level of patriotism and respect for the people who did. However, part of the plan, if that makes sense. But yeah, I joined. I graduated whenever normal kids do, right? June or so of a certain year, and I was in basic training in November the same year.
Oh.
Things moved really quick in that point in my life.
So you were in the service, you said about 20 years from what I researched?
Actually, no, I did not. I served right at 14 years, and then I got out. I just got out. My philosophy on that decision was very difficult. It wasn't one I took lightly. My thought process, my time frame, there's not a lot of soldiers that were in when I was in. There were, but when I joined, I graduated basic training in April of 2001 or so, and I went directly to Korea. And I went to Korea because it was a peacetime army. I joined the army as an infantryman because I was like, man, if I'm going to join something, I want to do a job that I can't do in the real world. So I picked, I was a gunslinger, and so I was there, and it was a peacetime army, right? But then shortly thereafter, 9/11 popped off, and then the whole world turned upside down. I went from a kid who was like, let me do 4 years and figure out what I want to do with my life. We came down on deployment orders for the invasion of Iraq, and I was like, man, this just got real. And so that really was a different trajectory of the way I processed my military service. What I thought was going to be a 4-year, let's figure this out, turned into 14. And everybody's like, man, you only had to do 6 more years. You would have got the pension and all this stuff. I'm like, have you ever done 6 years in the Army? You know what I mean? 6 years in the infantry is like 100 years in real life, right? But my thought was, I was at a point where they have a term that they use, which is irrelevant, called indefinite. The word indefinite scared the heck out of me. That just means you commit 20 years to the United States military or whatever. But I had a very special skill in the United States Army as an infantryman called a Bradley Master Gunner, which is where actually my Bushmaster name comes from, which I'm sure we'll get to later, but I won't jump too far ahead. But man, they were paying big bucks to go be a civilian contractor. So I was able to make the decision before I had to go indefinite. I exited the military, the United States Army, on a Tuesday. I was Saudi Arabia on a Thursday as a private security contractor, training the Saudi Arabian Army on some stuff that I was really good at. Man, I did that for a couple of years, and it was awesome. But I think I was probably in my early 30s at that point. I'd say 32 if I had to remember. But yeah, dude, I had a heck of a time, and it was one of those moments that I would never redo that. And I always tell people, it's like you're one decision away from a totally different life. And for me, joining the military, getting out of the military and not doing the full 20, had I done those things or not done those things, the trajectory of my life I would not be sitting where I'm at. I'm not saying one's better than the other, but I wouldn't be sitting on this podcast with you or telling my story in barbecue if I would not have gotten out at that time and space. So I'm eternally grateful for the experiences and the deployments and the friends and the people. But man, sometimes you got to know when to leave.
Yeah, definitely. I'm glad you told this story because probably a lot of people never heard this story, so I'm definitely
and to dovetail on that, what I was going to say before we got disconnected is I was a war soldier, right? So my point is 9/11 happened 6 months after I had went to my first duty station, and then from there it was just you're on the cycle. You're on the cycle, which is good. I needed that. I needed the structure. I needed all these things, and what was crazy is whenever the war died down in those 2012 to 2013, we left Iraq, Afghanistan was still happening. But I looked at myself and I was like, man, as an infantry guy, like, what do you really do outside of go to war? What do you do? Not a lot. You train a lot, which is great, but I was already so seasoned and I was an instrument. I was just thirsty to get back. And we had a change in leadership in the U.S. and we were trying to pull things back, which I totally agreed with. But I just was like, man, what's next? So that's really what forced my decision to exit at that time and space was, man, I'm an old dog, right? I was still young in my 30s. I was old to the young kids now who would never went. I'd went multiple times at that point. So I was like, man, I'm better suited in helping one of our allies and maybe just bringing some value there. That was it.
Okay. So while you were deployed over there, how was the barbecue scene overseas? Was it existent or non-existent?
Oh, so I was the barbecue scene. Yeah, it's non-existent, right? Especially, we were always forward as an infantryman by trade. We weren't the folks that you might see with Britney Spears or the wrestlers out there and whoever it was at the time. But no, we were on outpost, dude. And I think that really is. You asked me earlier, when did you cook a lot at home? But I was always cooking. But I think getting creative, and that's what really taught me. I understood fire. I love fire, man. But I would build fires, and a lot of times we wouldn't have chow halls or the cafeterias like you might see the guys do now. So we would operate a lot off the economy. So what I mean by that is we might be on patrol and go by a market and grab, people think I'm joking, but goat, camel, obviously chicken, beef there is pretty scarce. Obviously no pork in those countries. We would take those things back, right? We would barter, we would trade, we'd do whatever. And man, you get creative, dude. We didn't have grills. We didn't have these nice drum smokers. Man, you made drum smokers, or you made sandbag deals or rocks, and then maybe you had a Humvee grate when you utilize that as your grilling station. And I really thought, man, if I could give back to these dudes, that bust their tail for me, the country every single day, dude, it's amazing what a meal can do to somebody. Look at Operation Barbecue Relief or different nonprofit 501c like that who do such a great job, especially right now in Texas, just 8 hours east of me. Man, a hot meal and something that reminds people of home, dude, goes a long way. So I think that's what really just triggered me, and then always trying to be creative and come up with different ideas and spices and things that I can make someone feel like they're maybe back in Daphne, Alabama, or back in Stone Mountain, Georgia. Dude, that was my value outside of being a leader. But I think leadership and taking care of people also goes hand in hand.
So when did your interest spark into competition? Was it while you were serving or after you got out?
Yeah. No, great question. No, it was while I was serving. So the way the Army works is you work yourself through the ranks. You go on all these deployments back in my era. And then they try to give you a break. I was lucky enough to be sent to West Point, New York, United States Military Academy in 2010, I believe. So that was the first time, honestly, in my military career where I wasn't on deployable status or overseas. So I was more or less in a training capacity at that point. But what that did is that gave me the flexibility to actually have the time and have the space to figure that out. I'd seen BBQ Pitmasters. I was watching all the guys, and that was awesome. But I was at this butcher shop in Highland Falls, New York, which is the town adjacent to the military academy at West Point. And I saw this thing, and there was a flyer that said "King of the Cul-de-Sac." I'm like, "Damn!" And so I took the flyer, took a photo, probably took the flyer, I don't remember. And I signed up for this contest in New Paltz, New York, maybe 2.5 months later, man. And that was my first taste of barbecue or competition. I didn't cook under Bushmaster. I cooked under a very loose team with my dear friend. His name is Bradley Mott. And he was a civilian, but he worked on West Point in the medical department at the hospital. But we got connected anyway, and we came up with this team. It was called Got Pork, Got Beer. Because, man, if you got pork and got beer, brother, you're already winning. But we go to this contest, and so we roll in there. Man, I had a 1974 F-100 pickup truck. He had a minivan, right, because he had a family. So we load all these kettles and Weber Smoky Mountains in our two vehicles, and we go to New Paltz, which is in the Hudson Valley, beautiful place. And a contest that no longer exists. It was called the Hudson Valley Rib Fest. I mean, we show up, and just to put in perspective, like how green we were, Bill Gillespie from Smoking Hogs is like right across from us. Man, I don't know who this dude is. You know what I mean? If it's not Harry Sue, Myron Mixon, Tuffy Stone, Mo Cason, I ain't never heard of him. But he's a world champion at this point, right? Even back in those days, and such a great friend and advocate of barbecue. But man, we go out there, dude, and we get hammered on both ends, right? We drink way too much. We finished probably 38th out of 50, and I was just so shocked. Barbecue for new competitors, especially before the Barbecue League and podcasts like yourself, you don't understand how good people really are until you're around people who are really good. Man, you think everybody is just like you. You think it's a bunch of backyard guys in this parking lot or in this field in this instance. And that was not the case. There were people that had won so much stuff and are still relevant in barbecue today, which is extremely hard to do. But man, we went out there and we got slaughtered. And I was like, I hate losing. And I was not I wasn't a sore loser. I wasn't throwing a tantrum. But like I was processing things and I was like, this cannot happen again. And where is the next one? I think that's the thing about competition barbecue. A lot of people come in, maybe not so much now, but people still have a sense of pride and expectation. Fortunately for me, I was that guy, but luckily it was also 14 years ago. But man, it just made me, I just wanted to eat that stuff up, dude. Let's go. And that's what really triggered. I hate losing more than I like winning. I'm one of those guys. But yeah, that's what you see now.
So at that moment, after that contest, did y'all take any classes or did you just do trial and error practice?
Man, just trial and error. I don't want to say there weren't any classes, but there weren't any classes that I knew about. Man, so I just went to this place I remember it was called Adam's Family Market or something. But that was the only place I could really source brisket. It was choice or prime. But that was my deal, was like, my philosophy on starting out was like, man, let me start with the hardest cut. I think we all would agree, especially starting out, that's probably brisket. Hindsight is probably chicken. But in those days, the bigger the meat, the more I thought, man, so I would cook brisket nonstop, dude. I would just cook it, burn it, and smooth it. But man, I finally started getting things figured out. But no classes. I didn't actually take my first class, Tavis, until probably, actually it was the week that COVID kicked off in March of 2020.
Oh, wow. So how did the military service shape your mindset for barbecue competitions?
Oh man, it was everything, especially coming out of the height of the war. I looked at everything I did is you're competing. I was fortunate enough to be in some really great units with some awesome athletes. That's what I'll call, if you're an infantryman or a special operations guy, I consider you, and you're operating at a high level, dude, you're an athlete. And so to compete with dudes like that day in, day out, man, everything you do is a competition. Can I eat faster than you? Can I throw faster than you? Can I run faster than you? Can I do all these things faster than you, or better than you, should I say? And so it shaped everything I did, dude. And I still think it does, whether it's my approach to competition barbecue or business or my family. I'm always looking for the next, not best thing, but looking how I can make myself better. So, man, it shaped me as a human, dude. And I think I had some of that in me already, just being an athlete as a child and having great parents and taking ownership and things and learning the intangible things that we don't always necessarily see anymore in today's society. But yeah, it was a huge part of structure, order, being honest with yourself. I think we all say, oh, the contest didn't go that well. My food was great. When sometimes it is, and it just doesn't work out. It's a table game. But yeah, once I started being honest with myself about my food and I put my ego down, man, that's the best thing I ever did.
So how many comps did it take you to say, hey, I'm getting pretty good at this?
That's a great question. So my fourth contest ever, back up. So Got Pork, Got Beer lasted 2 contests. And not because we were so terrible. That was also part of the equation. But then I went back. There wasn't a lot of contests back in those days in New York, and I didn't have the money to travel, or I didn't even know about it. I went back active duty after that. I was always active. Went back to the line is what they call it. When I was back deploying again and everything. When I got out in 2015, and once I got done with my stint doing military contract work, it was 2018. So I think I cooked 2 contests 2018, and I did fine. I got some calls, top 10, I think 1 or both of them, I can't remember. And then 2019, I GC'd my 4th contest total, but my 2nd that year. I didn't really feel that I had barbecue figured out, and I still think that sometimes, but I knew I was getting really good probably in 2021, 2022, I think is whenever I was like, man, I really think I'm getting this thing figured out. And for me, what that looked like, which is pretty unique, and I always take this back to athletes or military, or that's just the way I equate it. Whenever you can slow down the game and make the game maneuver the way you want, I think I always had good flavor profiles. I had a good sense of taste and smell and doneness. But where I struggled at as an early competition cook with moderate success was the finishing board, right? I think that's what separates good cooks to great to elite, okay? But whenever I was able to finally figure out a system on the board and learn how to process things, dude, that's whenever time slowed down and I was deadly. that's when I was like, holy shit, like this is awesome. And I equate this to a sports game, whether you're playing football, and if you're a running back and you can see the gaps and you can see your blockers, and it's like you're moving at a high rate of speed, but the game, everybody else slows down. You have a bigger tunnel of vision, everything's more dialed in. I would look at that for me personally in a firefight. The bullets start flying the first deployment way back when, man, it's like, holy crap, this is happening. Ask me that 2 months later, things are moving in slow motion, and then you can be more methodical with your choices. When I started making better decisions is whenever I started seeing more wins roll up. And I think once you can figure that out, and there's no secret recipe, there's no time, there's no space, there's no class, it's up to us as cooks. Whenever that happens and the clock, you're like, holy crap, we've got to be getting close. And you're like, man, I still got 8 minutes till the turn-in window opens, or 8 minutes till the turn-in window closes. And whatever it takes for you to figure out what that space looks like for you is whenever you really start seeing a difference in the food quality. But learning how to fix barbecue and really learning how to elevate barbecue and making it look the way you want and getting the flavor that you're looking for is whenever you can figure out how to slow things down and make better decisions. And I think a lot of people are always, they think, let's cook more food, let's cook more CTs, let's cook more butts, let's cook more chicken. My philosophy is the opposite. Let's focus on the minimal stuff. So then when I am on the cutting board, I'm really making calculated decisions. I don't have so many racks of ribs. I don't have so much stuff to process. So where I know that if I've done my due diligence as a cook, everything I did from 7 a.m. up until right now, man, I already know where I'm going. I'm labeling racks of ribs. I'm labeling CTs, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever it is I have. That way, when I hit the cutting board, we're not opening up stuff that we're not going to use anyway. So let's focus on what we did really good and figure out how we can make it a whole lot better. And that's what will take you from good to great, great to elite.
That's definitely good information. So how did you come up with the name Bushmaster? I know it's a gun, but where did you decide to come up with that?
Yeah, no, it is, man. Bushmaster is a weapon company. But so I was an infantry guy, like I said, but I was mechanized infantry. And I was so pissed whenever I joined the Army because I wanted to be parachutist. I wanted to be airborne ranger. I wanted to do all these things, right? And so I go back and I was able to do a lot of those things. But what mind messed me during basic was they pulled your last number, your last digit of social, right? Because the government runs off socials. And they said, light infantry over here. I wanted to be light infantry. And so they said, if your social ends with this or there. So I started out mechanized infantry, which mechanized is like a Bradley fighting vehicle, which are the baddest machines on the planet next to an M1 Abrams. But what I loved about these things was the fact that it's almost like an Uber for infantry dudes, right? It's got a 25 millimeter chain gun on top. You got 8 savages in the back. When the ramp drops, they're creating havoc. So they chose my social security number as a mechanized infantry guy. And I was so upset. I was like, dude, I went all the way from Auburn to Daphne to go to Fort Benning, Georgia to train for some guy to tell me that I can't walk with a machine gun. What the heck? In my older years, I was like, man, this ain't too bad. But what the Army did mid 2000s, 05 or something like that, they made us all light infantry. And then you could have different expertises throughout that. So I was fortunate enough to get blessed with a couple very select qualifications, and one of which was called a Bradley Master Gunner, which is the epitome of that deal. And at the time, there's only 242 active Master Gunners in the United States Army.
Wow.
And I was fortunate enough to be a graduate of this very difficult course. But the weapon system was a Bushmaster chain link machine gun. And so whenever I was thinking about what I'm going to be called, I was like, man, it's got to be something. You can't just bypass that many years of service and not give an ode to your friends that you lost or your service or the country. And I said, man, let's run with this. And that's what it was, dude. And I like to cook aggressive. I'm an intense dude. I process things a little bit differently than most folks. And I'm very regimented when I stick to the program. And I think that's what all successful Master Gunners did. So and the Bushmaster was our weapon of choice. And it took me through several deployments, and it did me really good. Yeah, no, I sure was. I was a partner of that company, and And I was the chief operations officer of that organization for almost 8 years. Yeah. And to me, I still say, even though I have my own company here, man, still in my opinion, the best privately owned barbecue supply store on the planet, man. What we as a company were able to do, we did it before everybody else. I'll be honest. And anybody who knows anything about that industry will tell you we were the best in the business. We were scaling. We took a very unique business model, and a lot of the successful people you see that are still executing that model, and they'll tell you the same thing. Either I told them or they took a playbook, but I was very open and honest with other people because I want to high tides raise all ships. I want other people to do well. I want us to do well. I want everybody to do well. I want the community. I want your podcast. I want my friends, because if you think about barbecue, when I'm sitting in my store right now, I'm looking at walls of stuff. And man, I see faces, I see names, and they're people that I know, I love, I've had connections with. We've failed together. We've won together. We've had bickers. We've all these great wins and losses, but man, I want to keep that going. And I think that's something that we did at a high level, and we're able to scale nationwide without venture capital, without corporate backing. Man, it was a couple dudes, with a vision and a dream and a big work ethic and a passion that just wanted to bring barbecue from, in our case, Colorado, even as far east as Florida.
All right. And let's move on to those 2 trophies behind your head, the American Royal. My first question is, how close were you to winning each one?
Too close. So my first one was in 2022. I was cooking lights out that year. Lights out, leading up to that, after that, and that's kind of I feel like my trajectory at that point. But I was fortunate enough to win reserve grand champion at the 2022 Invitational. And up to that, I think that was maybe my 3rd or 4th year cooking the Invitational. And man, I'd always done really well. I think I finished top 20 or so every year. Never did anything in the open, but I think I focused all my energies on day 1, which is the Invitational. And, in day 2, I was kind of like, it's a crapshoot, whatever. But I was really close. So the gentleman who won that, who beat me, I'll be honest, everybody in that arena thought I won it. I think I had a familiar name. I was cooking really well, and a reserve. So I had a 180 brisket. I had no port call, but still had a 174, 175, respectable. I did have a chicken call, and I had a high rib call. So everybody's like, holy crap. But the gentleman who beat me that day won both days. Grant out of Chicago, Illinois. First time that's ever been done in history. So head nod to him. And he won day 1 and then turned around and won day 2. So It was one of those deals. I mean, I think he beat me within half a point, or something like that. I mean, the dude won, everybody's, of course, later I was like, you couldn't have gave me at least one day, but man, I'll take it. That was kind of really my launching pad. I'd say my first I had some big wins before that, but first big win. But man, the feeling and, once you go through the tunnel of the American Royal, and what was cool was we had a store. I was working a partner at Proud Souls, right? But I was competing under Bushmaster. But that was our coming out. We had a huge raging party the night before at the American Royal. It was our coming to Kansas City party. That's when we announced we were coming there. Open bar. We had thousands of people going through there. Man, it was wild. And my business partner, Tony Roberts, who was the CEO, he cooked under Proud Souls Barbecue, and he did not qualify that year for the Invitational. Man, so he's partying his pants off, right? And I was like, hey, man, I got work to do. I got to go to bed. But our trailer we had a big RV, Class C, and it was 5 feet from the party. Man, this thing was boom. I just hired Richard Fergola from Fergalicious Barbecue as my marketing manager. And so he's a KC guy. So he's, yo, Bush, you got to come. We got the KC Wolf here. We got KC Chili. I'm like, man, I'm a Broncos fan anyway, bro. Don't care. George Kaloftis is here. I'm like, I'll go see George Kaloftis. Game recognized game. But it was all night, dude. And I was like, I have to get some sleep, dude. I didn't sleep a wink that eye, dude. And I'm very programmed, very regimented, as we mentioned before. And man, the next day I was so tired, dude. I just kept looking at my timeline. It kept me honest. You know what I mean? I don't look at it for recipes or anything like that, but it made sure I hit my marks, dude. I was just hurting. And we go to awards, man, and I knew my food was really good, but I also knew that 224 other teams' food was probably equally, if not greater than mine. I mean, we got fortunate, and it was our day, that day. Man, it was awesome. I think I won the contest right before that, and I won or reserved this one, and I turned back and drove to Utah from the Royal, drove through Colorado, picked up more meat, reset my trailer, drove to Utah, and won that contest. I was on a heater that year. And it just kind of carried over and hadn't really stopped. Very fortunate to have that leapfrog for sure.
So I read that in competition in Yuma, you got 3 180s.
I did, man. That was cool. Arizona, man, another border town similar to El Paso, dude. Honestly, an awesome contest. Like I even said before awards that day, I said, man, I don't care what, it was one of those, I don't care what happens at this contest, dude. I'm coming back. Like it's lights out. It's well ran. The city's extremely involved. The public's there, but it's not an obnoxious public. It's just an awesome contest. But we were able to hit a 180 chicken, a 180 rib, and a 180 brisket. The funny thing about it is our pork was so bad. I thought it was the best entry of the day, which goes to show what I know or what these judges actually know. But man, we got 3 180s and a 163 pork, and I thought the pork was honestly the best turn-in all day. So we do that, and then the gentleman Brett from BMAC, who's a dear friend, he hit a 701. I hit a 703 because our pork scored so poorly. I almost lost that contest on 3 180s. But the cool part was from there, since we did have that store in Kansas City at the time, I literally drove from Yuma all the way to Kansas City, restocked, reloaded, and then went on to the East Coast and cooked literally the next week, a contest in Williamsburg, Virginia. So what was awesome about that is we were fortunate enough to pull out a win there too. So if you're talking cooking coast to coast, man, that was awesome. And there's so many great cooks in the Maba family. And, you had Urkel, who unfortunately passed earlier this week, people talk about how great a cook he was, man. Let's talk about the man he was. I mean, not a better dude, literally, in the barbecue, especially on the East Coast. I mean, he was there, Charles Crittenden from Wolf's Revenge, man. It was a loaded deck. Chunky was there. And I was fortunate enough to win day one, and Chunky reserved that one. But, to go, for me, that was like you mentioned, when did I really figure it out or felt like I figured it out? I think I knew it before that, but that was kind of a solidifier, like, man. And I looked the other day, it was funny, on your phone, you have these memories pop up. And I did a post, and it was like my East Coast tour. And I think I cooked 2 doubles in 2 weeks, flew back to Colorado for some meetings in between, and was able to rattle off 4 700s, X amount of top 10s, 3 first place briskets out of 4 contests. I mean, it was just, man, I was cooking lights out, But I had that dog in me, man. I wanted it, And I think once you I mentioned trajectory, man. I told a friend who rattled off his first grand championship the other week, named Milford Brinkerhoff from Brinkerhoff Barbecue, a guy out of Colorado who was a customer who's now turned into a fiend, right? Like us. The guy just rattled off his first, he'd been cooking good, but he finally got his first win, man. And I said, awesome. I said, do it again, dude. Do it again, do it again, do it again. I said, here's the cool part. The more you do it, once you rattle off that first one, dude, I said, you would be surprised at how fast the rest I don't know if it's confidence level. I don't know if it's the craft. I don't know what it is, but I think it's all of the above, to be honest. But I said, I promise, man, get the first one, the rest will come.
Okay. So out of the comp meats, which one is your highest scoring meat? Typically?
Man, good question. I would say probably historically brisket. I think I have more first place briskets probably than anything. If I'm looking around the shop, I see more first place briskets than anything. Ribs are a touch behind than chicken, and very tight. I think my Achilles heel throughout the years, it changes, right? I mean, I think you get on heaters and it's, man, I could, throw a rock in the box and hit a first place this, right? But then, man, at some point, dude, it falls off. And I'll tell you a funny story that you'll appreciate. You had my good friend Chris Schaefer on a couple of weeks ago, I believe. Him and I have been close friends for a few years now, and I respect him. He's a beast, right? You took his class. He's a monster. Yeah. And that, not in the 2023 year, man, I came out of the gate hot. I had 3 back-to-back GCs or back-to-back GCs, and I ended up with 6 on the season that year by June. And I was on a tear. And my oldest son, who lives in Palm Springs, California, he comes out and he would work with me at the shops and live with me. And we'd spend the summer and we'd travel, and he'd work at the store and we'd pay him. And we had a great time. And so we're on a heater and we go somewhere, and like we should have won the contest, right? We should have won it. I bombed chicken or whatever. No big deal, bad table, whatever. We go to the next place. Should have won the contest. It was in Minnesota. And from Minnesota, I was going to Kansas City to work in the shops. And dude, we hit like a 33rd out of 38 chicken. And the scariest thing in barbecue, guys, is whenever you like your food and it's not hitting. I mean, I mentioned earlier about being honest with yourself. I was being legit honest with myself. I was like, dude, I cannot cook this any better. But I had done the exact same thing, and I felt the same way for 2 weeks straight. And so on the way home, it's a quiet ride. He's poopy faced because we didn't win. I'm like, whatever, We finished third that day, like three top fives and a 30 something. We finished third, whatever, And I was like, hey, what do you have to say about the cook? And he goes, Dad, we got a chicken prop. I was like, first of all, son, you let me worry about that. But the moral of the story is, man, don't be afraid to reach out to your friends. Don't be afraid to reach out to your peers, man. We're all here to help, dude. And I reached out to Chris Schaefer, and I called him, and I said, hey, dude, I'm heading to Kansas City. I need you to meet me at my store. I'll be there tomorrow. And I need let's do it. I'll cook my chicken my way. I already know how he does his chicken, but I needed them side by side. I'm like you. I took his class in 2021, I think, but this is 2023, years pass and things change. And I said, I just need to see what the difference is, And so him and Brian Payton from Meet Me in St. Louis, they meet me at my store in Kansas City. I said, you guys can have whatever you want in the store. I'll take you to dinner. I just need some chicken work. And yeah, man, they got me, and it's so funny. I think whenever people take it, I teach I say a lot, but I teach 2 comp classes a year. I had some great people attend them, and who I'm like, holy crap, this guy's taking my class, which is to me one of the biggest compliments you can ever get. Someone you look up to or a peer, equal to, if not greater than you, sit there and pay money and listen to you talk, which keeps you honest. Mm-hmm. But I mean, we're sitting here and we're doing all these things, dude. And it's funny how people say, what'd you do different? And you're like, oh, nothing. You might have changed your brand of chicken, little simple things, dude, just as far as your trim weight, amount of phosphates, maybe you didn't realize what you're doing. But I mean, especially early on, we have to be documenting everything we're doing and being honest with ourselves. And I'll be honest with myself. I was getting too busy with expanding new locations. I had too much business and personal stuff going on, and I was getting sloppy, dude. And once we went back and Schaefer and Peyton came out, man, I was doing the same thing I always was, but at a sloppier level. And I mean sloppy, not by trim work or pregame or everything. I was just getting really off with some technique, and just watching those guys and them re-solidifying everything that I already knew that I was already doing, but just putting me back in check. Man, that's what I needed, dude. I mean, it was eye-opening. And both of those guys, I respect the heck out of them, and I'm thankful for them. And we got chicken back dialed in, which was much needed. But yeah, I mean, it's just the minor things. You have to put a point on every critical tack that you do. I mean, every action, there's a point and an equal reaction, positive and negative. My point is, don't get sloppy, trust the process and you'll be fine. But document everything, especially in the early years.
Yeah, definitely. And one thing about Chris, I love Chris because he'll tell you what you need to hear and not what you want to hear.
Right.
So, and I love that because I told him I got a 14-month-old, and I was like, I'm thinking about competing at the end of the year. I said, dude, your daughter gonna be one only once, so
yes,
enjoy that time. Competition will still be there.
And the reverse effect on that, Tavis, is the fact that whenever my son was in his infancy, we didn't have that time because I was always deployed. And so for him to be a young man now, now he's 19 years old, but back when I'm talking, he was, 17, 18 years old. But like we were making up, we didn't even realize what we were doing, dude, but we were making up, experiences that we missed due to what I was doing before that, dude, just, man. some people get it early, you know, and I love that for them. Some people get it later, and some people have the whole tenure, man. I think that's the end game. But, man, pick them when you can get them, man. I was eternally grateful for that year.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, I'm gonna postpone mine, but like you said, I do go walk around competition because I plan on going up to the American Royal and walk around and
Nice.
meet some people. Hopefully, if you're gonna be there, I can meet
I'll
up.
be there.
So I'm gonna
I'm
find
always
everybody.
there. Plus, man, I got this 2024. I won the American Royal GC in 20 or RGC in 2024 in the Open. So that was cool to me, hitting the 22 Invitational Reserve and then hitting this. But I remember whenever they called my name for the 24, I said, God dang, man. And then people are like, what are you talking about? I'm like, which I'm great. I mean, anytime you get a square trophy, dude, awesome. But the 2024, man, I had a mean port box and I knew it. And I ended up hitting a second place perfect 180 to Fred Robles. And they called me for second perfect. And I was like, who could have beat me? And they were like, Fred Robles. I'm like, you know, we'll let him have it, you know. But it was, man, not a better dude in barbecue, you know. I mean, what a great guy. And I've always looked up to him, and I'm sure we'll get to this once we get to your favorite people. But, man, the dude can cook any sanctioning body, you know what I mean, and still be competitive, which is something that I respect. Instead of leaving with 2 square trophies that day, we just left with 1, but I'll take it.
Hey, that's good enough. So
Yes,
how
sir.
heavy are they? Are they real heavy?
And they're real heavy. They're heavy. I told somebody, I had a buddy from home, man, and he's seen it. He's like, man, you look like you were struggling. I used to be in really good shape. And these trophies get heavier the older I get. But I said, you know, when we go downtown and we get that po' boy with that okra and the French fry, I said, you know, when you drop that bag, he's, yep. I said, it's like that. He goes, oh, shit. But yeah, it's a heavy plate for sure.
All right. Next, we're going to move in and let's sell some product. So tell me about the Bushmaster BBQ brisket rub.
Let's do it. Dude, when I was on like a 2-year hiatus. I mean, it was like, we mentioned earlier, like you can throw a rock in a box and it's just send it. I mean, I think a lot of that is the meat that I purvey. I do cook A9s from the butcher shop. Being a hometown guy, I mean, man, the butcher shop's 25 minutes from where I grew up. I want to support the people in my community. I'm big on small business. Obviously, as an entrepreneur. So anytime I can put back in the community, man, I will, dude. And Kevin Green's a great guy, him and his son Jordan. But I do cook those briskets, dude. And man, I was getting really good ones I still do. But in that time frame specifically, I mean, everybody's, oh, my briskets don't look like that. I'm like, these guys hand select every brisket there. I mean, period. I mean, the same way Snake River Farms. I mean, people, they know who's out there grinding in and out every week. I mean, there's different specs, comp specs, there's backyard specs, but man, the briskets I was getting was phenomenal. So I will equate a lot of that. I was cooking a really high level, but man, this seasoning, dude, is something I came up with and I was making at my house. And every time I taught a class or people were DMing me, I need your program, I'll pay you $500 for a recipe or whatever. I mean, crazy stuff. And then I would give it to people. And I said, dude, you don't have to pay me. I said, I mean, I can, as big a competition cook I am, dude, I'm a small business owner. I want to grow the sport of barbecue. If you have the balls to ask me for something, I have the intestinal fortitude to give it to you. I might leave out a couple things, but you're gonna get in the game, right? That's why the barbecue league's so great. But anyway, finally, I was like, man, I just need to. People are like, just put it in the bottle, and I'm like, let's put it in the bottle, and that's what we did. And it's great. It was designed for brisket, but man, you can run it. I got guys. The biggest compliment to me, man, is whenever people are like, dude, I put this on X, Y, and Z, and it's stuff that I'd never thought about. Like my wife is 100,000% Hispanic, dude. She is the Mexicana of the world, dude. She uses it like as a margarita, beer salt margarita. I mean, she's putting it on pineapple and searing it off. I mean, I got dudes putting it in crazy stuff. But I run it on chicken exclusively, like the only seasoning I use. I do run it through like a Winco shaker, like that has a smaller holes, like that way they get the bigger flakes. And then I'll also use it on brisket. And I do use it on brisket in conjunction with another commercial rub. And I think they pair like this, dude. And it's excellent. I think it's great. People use it in finishing powder. Man, have fun with it, dude. Just let me know what you think. I hope you enjoy it.
Good. And let's move on to the glaze, the original grill candy. What inspired that?
So what inspired that is whenever we had our previous company, Proud Souls BBQ, my business partner and I, Tony Roberts, we had this recipe it's called grill candy. And man, we all love Texas pepper jelly, right? That's what people think. They think Cosmos Q, Texas pepper jelly. That's the only glazes we use, right? And they're awesome. I still use a couple of them still today in my profile. However, we had came up with this, and it's not a apple habanero. It's not a peachy peach. It's just, man, it's very thin. Let me grab some. Okay. It's very thin, and I utilize it as a cutter. So what I mean cutter is we're all using either the first place team's using Blues Hog and the last place team's using Blues Hog.
Yes.
What I use is this. So if you can see the texture and consistency, this is extremely thin, but this is it. I don't want to necessarily change the flavor. Sometimes I want to add maybe a touch of sweet with a touch of heat, but not have it fruit or flavor specific. And so I utilize this 1 tablespoon for every 24 ounces of my barbecue sauce. So sometimes sauce can get thick, right? Mm-hmm. And whenever you're talking about painting it on and all these things, that's how I personally utilize it. I use it at home for cocktails. Instead of simple syrup in my margarita, I'll put some of this in there. And my old fashions, I put some of this in there. Man, get creative, have fun with it. Don't take yourself too seriously. So whenever we ended up closing down Proud Souls, I went to my business partner or my ex-business partner, and I said, that product was so good. We're in agreement. Can I take this recipe and move forward? And he's, dude, keep it alive, man. And every class I taught and people who know me and just backyard customers in general, they love it, dude. I mean, so for me to bring that back and call it the OGC, the original grill candy, just with a little bit different look. And we went with a pink bottle just because I was like, candy, cotton candy, let's do a fun play on it because all my brawlers pretty serious looking. Just kind of have fun with it, man. But just more or less, dude, just an ode to Proud Souls BBQ and all the people that stood behind it and all the competition cooks that continue to ask for it, And I said, man, I just want to keep it cruising, brother. So that's what we did.
I'm not gonna lie, that's a good idea what you did there. Because most people want to use it but not change the flavor, and that's a good idea.
Let's just run with it, man. Let's run with it.
You really wowed me on that one. You wowed me. Wow. What made you open up the Bushmaster BBQ supply in El Paso? How did you get from Colorado to El Paso?
About 8-hour drive south. But so a lot of people do know this, a lot of people don't. So anyway, before I lived in Colorado, which I lived in Colorado for almost 10 years, dude. I lived in El Paso, Texas. My wife is from El Paso, Texas. Hence the 1,100% the most authentic person I know, right? But we were sitting in Colorado, and I'll be honest, I had being such a staple as a company, as a person, as a figure, as a business owner in Denver, of a city of 2 million people, you think like, what kind of impact does one person have as a small business owner in this city? Close a store, close a few of them. And I think you really realize the value you added to your community once it's gone. So for me, I took it really hard. So I'll be honest, man, I felt like I needed to step away, and it wasn't on bad reasons. It was just on, man, this part of, or this chapter of my life in this city, in this industry, or not this industry, but this business is done. So I just needed there's a lot of, positive reinforcement coming my way, but, just a lot of sadness too. Right. So I decided to just take myself out of that situation in a positive manner. But my wife and I had built a new home probably 18 months before that for my mother-in-law, who didn't want to live there. That's a whole nother podcast. She likes her neighborhood, didn't like mine anyway. But it was a beautiful home, and I told my wife, I said, let's just take a break from Colorado. Let me clear my head. Let me figure out the next move. And I said, let's go back to El Paso, man. And she was like, yeah, cool. Her mom's getting older and, she has family here. And man, it was a natural fit. And we went down here and moved down here very quickly, I would say. I think we closed the business on December 31st. I think I was down here by March, And I was sitting around Tavis, and I was just like, man, I'm going to go to the store. I'm going to go get a mean steak and I'm going to go, grill it up or whatever. And I went to the local grocery store. I'm like, man, they don't have anything, It's not like a Publix, it's not like Fresh Mart. It's not Whole Foods, man. It's either a carniceria or nothing, You can get some mean skirt steak, flank. I just wanted a thick old ribeye, And dude, I couldn't get it, and I was looking around for, higher end butcher shops or people that's, specified in the stuff that we like or high quality meats. And I was like, crap, I'm out of this. I'm out of that. I'm like, let me see where I can buy it local. Well, I couldn't, So I'm buying it online, which is awesome, but I mean, and I was sitting there thinking, I was just kind of bored. And I was like, said, man, what if we just pop something up like low key, like nothing crazy? We're not having 6,000 square foot showrooms. We don't have $20,000 grills. I was like, but I think in El Paso being a border town community, Hispanic driven, but a lot of live fire, a lot of great food in the city, man. I said, I think there's a spot for us. If we played it, we played it low key, played it safe, bring in seasoning, sauces, high quality meats, Snake River Farms, Prairie Fresh Prime, Natty's, some drums, charcoal, all the stuff that we want, but people here can't get. I said, man, I'll be open Friday through Sunday. We'll have a call to action with reduced store hours. I mean, tickets are up. It creates, this kind of intensity. People they predict you to do this, and it maximizes my time. And dude, that's what we did. So we found a space about probably 30 days after I got here, and we opened 21 days after I got here. I mean, everybody in the community is, holy crap, dude, you did that so quick. I'm like, well, I've done it about 6 other times, in a much larger scale. So for me to pop up what I would consider in my previous life a satellite location, dude, in understanding your community, understanding the demographics, understanding the capital that's available here, and catering and operating within those means, and not excluding people and making it welcoming dude, there's so many cooks that come in here, man. And we're so new. I mean, it's crazy. On our grand opening, we had honestly 850 people here. It was unreal. I mean, and this is not a small city, but it's not Houston, but people were excited. I felt we did a really good job on our marketing plan, really targeted some key places, dude. But man, I'm not going to lie, dude, we're all the buzz, man. And I'm very grateful and fortunate. We're teaching classes. I mean, and people are excited. And I'm just happy to take what I think all of us who are probably watching this podcast maybe take for granted, that these people have never seen. And it's, dude, let's just make it easy, accessible, affordable. Talk to people and teach classes that aren't, competition 900 level, which we'll still have Bushmaster comp classes. But what I'm focused on right now is really the backyard plus guy. That's where barbecue is going. Competition is, we all know it, man, is not necessarily, the trajectory is not there like it was in the mid 2000s. Cost of fuel, cost of meats, economy, all these things, payroll, I mean, whatever. But if I can sit here and impact somebody at a backyard level, dude, and maybe they take that leap when it's right for them, freaking great. If not, you know what? The biggest compliment I get is when someone takes a backyard class and comes back. Dude, it's Texas. Mm-hmm. I taught a brisket class last week. We did Kansas City burn-ins on a Snake River Wagyu brisket. These people were like, when I said, we're going to sauce this, dude, I almost got booed out of my own store until they bid it. And they were like, holy shit. Like, the answer down here is salt, pepper, garlic. I mean, to the home cook, right? The competition Texas cooks, they know different. But this is my market. We don't have this thriving competition scene. But to be able to deliver these people and show them what we do really well, man, we're spreading barbecue, dude. And it's awesome.
Yeah, because there's more backyard cooks out there than competition people. So that's the majority of your customers going to be. 100%. So you have to cater to them and simplifying it, and them being able to just walk into a store and get a product that you don't get to see too often is amazing, and not having to pay $200-300 shipping on a drum or a grill or something like that. It makes a big difference, that extra $100-200. So
it does, man. And man, the community, I've had some, like I said, I lived down here about 10 years ago. And when I was down here, I was doing barbecue, I was a heavy cook, and I was just really trying to create a scene, but I didn't have a platform, right? I didn't have a store, I didn't have anything. So I'm just like on these forums, hey, anybody in El Paso want to, and man, I had 10 or 12 core guys. And here's the cool part. These core guys they're still cooking. I mean, they'll cook the local stuff within 50 miles, IBCA, maybe a CBA, but there's not much out here. But dude, to see whenever I came back and I hit them up and I said, hey man, I'm going to do this, but I'm going to need some local support. Are you guys ready? And they're like, dude, we've been dreaming of this, but we just didn't, either have the know-how, we didn't know how to execute it is kind of my plan. Or, they have big boy jobs, we didn't have the time, we didn't have the energy, we didn't have the resources. But for you to come back, what do you need, boss? And I'm like, first of all, I ain't your boss, but I love this. So let's do this. Let's scheme. Like this weekend, we're cooking the Famous Dave's All-Stars, right? So I cooked that last year, the year before, and won every category. Great. Don't need to do it again. But there's one in El Paso Sunday, and we're going to do it. But I told these guys, I said, hey, we're going to cook it under the store name so we can continue to bring brand awareness. I said, I'll be the guy in the front. I'll be handing out free chicken wings. I got these fountains, I'm going to put Blue Dog in there, grilled candy. And that way, whenever I cook the wings, the people come up, it's interactive, they dunk. I can tell people what we're doing here in El Paso. I can talk about, the barbecue, where it's going in El Paso. But man, I said, look, I'll pay the entry fee. I'll pay all the meats, all the seasonings, all the sauce, take it from the shop. You guys go cook it. Chicken, ribs, anything goes. Keep the money, keep the trophies, man. I appreciate you guys and I appreciate the community. So that's what we're doing this weekend. Then Sunday, my wife and I fly to New York to cook the Grand Am, that big 50,000 invitational. The following week, we'll celebrate her birthday at Niagara Falls, and then we'll start heading down south near West Point, where this will be my 100th contest. This next, not Famous Dave's, but the Grand Am World Championship will be my 100th. And the beauty of it is, it's within 50 miles of the first contest I ever cooked. I'm excited to get back there. We usually, one out of every four, we either grand or reserve. So hopefully we can rattle off something here really quick, man. But yeah, dude, we're having fun down here, and the people are great and they're thirsty.
And the thing I like about what y'all doing is y'all have individual meat classes and as well as the 4 meat classes. So if I just only want to work on ribs, I can go work on ribs. Or if I want to go or make a sausage or a brisket, I can just go take that class. Or some people might not have the money to do the 4 meat class, then they might I can work on ribs, because you can get ribs from the store and all that and work on it. And yes, I love that about y'all, because you think about the everyday person and what's going on. Kudos to y'all for that also.
Yeah, just trying to make it accessible, man. I think, don't price yourself out of your own passion. It's kind of always been my deal. So, man, keep the stuff affordable, man, and support the community that supports you. I mean, that's what it's about. Man, could we charge? I mean, we charge an $800 a comp class. Could I charge you $200 for a rib class? Sure. But I mean, dude, what are you going to have, 3 people in El Paso there? I mean, dude, I want to open the floodgates, make everything accessible, and then spread the word. Go back on Monday, sit around the coffee pot, with your compadres, and be like, what'd you do this weekend, Tavis? Man, I went to Bushmaster Supply Co., dude. I had this banging, class. And what we try to do is, in our brisket class, we teach Texas style, minimal trim, decaloff, butcher paper, jambo. And then we also do a Kansas City style, drum, burn-ins, sauce injection. And then same with the baby backs versus St. Louis. Man, we just try to give people different options. And I think especially in a community down here who's not really ever been exposed to barbecue or American barbecue, man, dude, they are thirsty and they want to try it all. So let's throw it at them, man.
Exactly. And it spreads the love of barbecue around, and it keeps everybody enthusiastic about it.
And the thing is, like with us being open Friday through Sunday, man, we've had multi-million-dollar operations. You know what I mean? That's awesome. Man, I don't want that. You know what I mean? I want something I can manage. And I think the beauty in what customers really appreciate about our business model is we're only open Friday through Sunday, right? So when does most grilling thoughts go down? Friday through Sunday, okay? And then what's awesome is whatever we sell Friday through Sunday, on Sunday night, I'm submitting a purchase order on Sunday night, which gets processed Monday, which arrives back to my store on Thursday, which goes back on the shelf. So we should never be out of any product. For the consumer standpoint, the shelves will always be full, man. We'll always be here. man, we're happy. We're not cranky. We didn't just work 6 days before this, man. Our Monday's our Friday. So, man, we should be well rested.
Definitely. But I love everything y'all doing. So
Yes,
after
sir.
all the wins and that you have, what still drives you? Is it the competition, the community, or the pursuit of perfection?
Oh, man. I think they all tie in together, dude. I mean, I think the competition, the strive for perfection is what drives the competition and vice versa. I mean, I think the community is what's sustainable. The community is sustainable. So if you look at every world champion, if you look at every grand champion, every barbecue advocate, right, man, the competitions will go away. The strive for perfection will go away. But what they did for the community will always live. So I think ultimately it's a community driven deal, which is the long term. I think the interim, which is what we're all chasing, is the excitement, right? It's the wins, man. I'll be honest, I haven't been out this year really at all. I think last year I cooked 12. I won 3, reserve 3, we'll bat 500. I'll call it good. I mean, but I think what it is, I mean, we were in the process of closing down Proud Souls, which was almost a 10-year venture for us. And then in the process of opening something, or 1, grieving, 2, figuring out the next move, and 3, executing it, which is why I think I'm really haven't done much. I mean, I've done a lot, but not necessarily on the circuit, but I'm thirsty to get back out next week, dude, and make some noise for sure.
Oh yeah. And I forgot to ask, do you cook with a partner or do you cook by yourself?
Cook by myself. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. The only time I'll take the only time I'll take anybody is at the American Royal the Jack. 1, because I want people that I value in my life to experience what I'm experiencing, right? It's like, you can go to the greatest party or the greatest concert ever, or the greatest movie or the greatest concert, whatever it is. But I mean, it's funner when you share something with people. However, when it comes time to business, I need to be in control, and I need to box runners. So if you know any box runners, I'm always hiring box runners. But yeah, I'm by myself 99% of the time.
Okay. Yeah, I don't, like I told, they was looking at me like I was crazy, but when Tim Shear did the promotion for his NASCAR sponsor, they was at the racetrack. I told him, hey, you handing out sauce, I'll come and help. So I was out there hustling more than his people out there, because I was like, it's an experience that you're not going to
Right.
have all the time, and you get to see how a true operation runs,
Yes,
and
sir.
you can take lessons from that, since even though I'm kind of doing this for fun, but it's still a business, and you got to act professional and know how to handle yourself and promote yourself. Like I said, I went out there, I was hustling, handing out sauce and samples to people and stuff. Like, I worked for Blues Hog, and I was like,
Yeah.
it was worth it because of the experience that I
Yeah.
gained and stuff like that, and see how operation runs. So,
Oh, 100%. And
yeah.
I mean, truth be to your point, Davis, I mean, a lot of people don't know this, but my former business partner, Tony Roberts, who I keep speaking of, Proud Souls, that's how I met him, man. He was set up next to me at a contest in Colorado. I actually worked for a different barbecue store. I didn't own it. I was like the manager or whatever you want to call it, right? But I was out there, and the owner couldn't cook. So he brought me, and he's like, oh, cook this KCBS. So, all right, cool. And so we hit it off and stuff. And anyway, I ended up moving to El Paso. And Tony, who was the founder of Proud Souls Barbecue, he invited me up. He goes, hey, man, you want to come help me cater to this deal? It was at the barbecue contest. He was the head cook, right? But, man, he just needed me to help feed the public, dude. And I kind of worked it was before he started the company, because he's the founder. And that's kind of piggybacked on. But whenever we started it, I mean, I was the first guy on his list. I mean, it's like, who's to say, man? Who's to say, right? I mean,
Exactly.
You never know. That's why I don't say no to nobody. I mean, if I think it can help me, make me smarter, make me stronger, make me more marketable, whatever, I don't care what it is, dude. You're a fool to turn down any opportunity, right? Because you
Exactly.
never know where that boat's going to take you. So awesome job.
So that's why I tough it out, because I love barbecue that much, because like the podcast I do from during the week, since I have kids and stuff, and I wait until they get into bed, so I do it from 8:30 to 9:30. But most folks don't know I get up at 3:45 a.m. for work, but it's
Right.
worth it to me because I'm able to talk to people in the barbecue community, which I love, and
Right.
share with other people, the experiences. I get the experiences based on your stories and everybody can get something from your stories and all the stuff that you just said. Know how many people is going to run across and get enthusiastic. They might be on the edge of maybe starting their own store or competing and stuff like that. And just hearing your story, they might say, "Hey, I can do it," and get out there tomorrow and and go from there. So,
and I mean, how many people would have killed to been in your shoes serving food with Blues Hog? I mean, let's be real.
Exactly.
I mean, that's a
never
once
in a million years that I thought I have Tim Shear number in my phone, or I got Harry Sue phone number in my phone. And like these folks I seen on TV, I'm like, I'm meeting all these folks. I didn't met you and all that. Because that's what I say. I tell people, do your homework, study, watch, and everything. So you never know when your opportunity is. Nope. So if I get around fumbling and don't know nobody and all that and don't know stuff, I come up to people and they be like, "How you know me?" I do my homework. Since I have a daughter, I be in the room with her all the time. Right. TV on YouTube all the time. I got BBQ magazine, and everything I read, I study. So when opportunity time, I'm prepared, and that's how I make those connections. So that's why I like one thing people got to do is be prepared for anything that they have planned. So that's
be a student of the craft, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, I got a buddy, dude, and he's a decent cook, and man, he doesn't know who nobody is. I mean, he's like, "Hey, you know Darren Worth?" I'm like, "Yeah, I know Darren." He's like, "He pretty good." I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "Dude, you're doing, are you kidding me?" He's like, "I wasn't around in the pitmaster years." I'm like, "No, the dude is ultra relevant, or he's ultra relevant." I mean, it's like, are you kidding me? I'm like, dude, if you're gonna take this stuff serious, man, you have to. And then when you approach people, right, like at Memphis and May at the American Royal at the Jack, if you're fortunate enough to get there, it's, man, you can have a conversation and be like, "Hey, man, like-minded people think the same, and that's what connects us, right?" I mean, barbecue is one thing, but if you walk up to somebody and say, "Hey, man, great cook last weekend. I saw you won chicken," they're like, "Oh man, this guy's man, that goes a long way,
Exactly.
Just a little bit of homework.
When we went to Memphis in May, I saw Mike Starr from Blazing Star.
Yeah,
and he looking at me like, "You know me?" Yeah, I knew because I do I study. Man, I know.
He's a cool cat, dude. I love Mike Starr.
So
he's just a great ambassador of barbecue.
Exactly, and that's what I want to be, as well as same as you.
Right.
Bring barbecue to people. I mean, it's not about, like I said, I don't care about sponsors and all this other stuff. I didn't pay for podcast service for the whole year, so I'm just here to spread barbecue and my excitement that I have for barbecue with everybody else, and bring people I brag on. These people are the greatest people that I know and the friendliest people I know, and I want to share it with everybody. So, I said, why not?
Great job.
I'm trying, so. Definitely. I'm going to ask you one good, hard question and then 2 quick games to get you out of here. All right. If you had a competition, 4-meat competition, and you had to bring 3 people, dead or alive, and you get to pick what meat they cook, who you bringing with you and what you cooking?
I'm not cooking, but no, we'll go in order, right? We'll do chicken, Reagan Broche, La Pasadita. I mean, the guy is phenomenal. I mean, he's fun, dude. You met him at Memphis in May, I'm sure, right?
I want to meet him on the podcast. He look interesting.
Yeah. Wait till the kids go to school, or at least the newborns are asleep, man. But, dude, what an interesting guy, man. Once I moved to Texas, man, he was honestly, everybody knew I came down here. But he was honestly the first person that was like, "I want to give you," and I got a ton of them, but "I want to officially welcome you to Texas." I'm like, "Thank you, sir." But if I'm thinking chicken, whether it's CBA, IBCA, half chicken, whole chicken, legs, wings, thighs, whatever it is, man, the dude is an assassin, and I would take him on my team. And he's pure fun. I like to have fun at contests. That's why we're there, right? 2, if I'm going ribs, I'm going Leininger. Brad, I mean, enough said. I don't need to explain why. 3, pork. Have you ever heard of Steve Hayden by chance?
Yeah, I've heard of the name.
He's out of Illinois, 1-2 barbecue. He doesn't really cook anymore. Man, the guy, pound for pound, he was the first class I ever took. It was a Gray Street and 1-2 barbecue. And I flew in there on March 19th when COVID hit. And to this day, that is the best pork I've ever tasted from anybody, from anybody, anywhere. My pork, this guy's pork, anybody's pork. He's the best pork cook I've ever met. And then brisket, I would say Fred Robles. I mentioned him earlier in the podcast. I mean, I think the dude, how many times has he won beef in Memphis in May? I mean, and he runs it up the middle. And the biggest compliment, one of the greatest compliments I ever got was last week. I talk a lot about in podcasts, typically, Tavis's high elevation cooking and the differences in humidity and dew point levels, cooking in Colorado for so many years and wins so many championships in brisket, specifically in grands. I mean, that's a play, dude. I mean, I do really well at high elevation, but because I understand the way meat reacts, right? But Fred texted me, he goes, "Hey, Papa," he goes, "Let's talk high elevation brisket." I'm like, "Let's do it, dude." And for a guy like that to reach out and be like, "Hey, dude, I know it reacts different, and I understand and I respect it, man," is great. But the guy is a champion and in so many ways. So I think that would be who I would pick. And I'd be doing dishes or build maybe some parsley duty. I don't know.
That's a good squad.
Yes, sir. And some zingers, right? Not your typical, a couple cats that maybe you wouldn't think of.
Exactly. All right. And usually I play a game with everybody. The tournament brackets in college basketball. I got a 16 meat tournament. Just pick what meat you like to eat, and we'll see which one comes out on top. All right. First matchup is lamb versus brisket.
Brisket.
All right. Next matchup is smoked ham versus sausage.
Oh, smoked ham.
All right. Next matchup, smoked turkey versus beef ribs.
Ooh. Man, I'll go smoked turkey.
Okay. Next matchup is barbecue shrimp versus hamburger.
Ooh, I'll go hamburger.
All right. Next matchup.
Most of my shrimp is fried, Davis. Man.
Yeah, me too.
Yes, sir.
Next matchup is pork chop versus smoked chicken.
Oh, pork chop all day.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man. Smoked bologna versus pork ribs.
Ooh, pork bologna.
Okay.
Or, yeah, bologna.
All right. And hot dog versus pork belly.
Hot dog.
Okay. And steak versus burnt ends.
Steak.
Okay. Next round, brisket versus smoked ham.
Brisket.
Okay. Next matchup, turkey versus hamburger.
Turkey.
All right. Next matchup, pork chop versus smoked bologna.
Pork chop.
Okay. And next matchup, a hot dog versus steak.
Steak.
All right. Final four, brisket versus turkey.
Brisket.
Okay. And next matchup, pork chop versus steak.
Man, I eat these equally, man. Are we talking like A9 steak, Duroc steak? Are we just talking like commodity?
Commodity. We go commodity.
All right, I'll do a pork chop.
All right. All right, in the final, brisket versus pork chop.
So I would prefer to eat pork chop, but I love cooking brisket, so I'll go pork chop because it's a taste thing. Right. Pork chop it is.
Finally, we got a pork chop winner. I love pork chop.
Dude, I don't care what it is. Brine, smoke, grill, fried.
All right. Next game, I made a special one for you. I did a bracket of the top SEC quarterbacks.
I already know where this is going.
So I did 16 quarterbacks, SEC. First matchup, Joe Burrow, Matthew Stafford.
I'll go Burrow.
Okay. Next matchup, Eli Manning, Jalen Hurts.
Hurts.
Okay. Tua versus Vince Young.
Oh, that's tough, man. We talking big game or body of work?
I guess
because there's different deals.
I would say career.
Oh, you can't even say career. I mean, all right, we'll go Vince Young.
Okay.
But I also hate Alabama, but that has nothing to do with it.
Johnny Manziel versus Bryce Young.
Johnny Manziel.
Okay. Cam
He's
Newton.
a good time. You know what I mean? Like,
Cam versus Chris Leak.
come on now. Hey, scam the man. Let's go.
All right. Dak Prescott versus Aaron Murray.
Ooh. I go Dak. I go Aaron Murray because Dak wasn't all that at Mississippi State.
Okay. All right. Tim Tebow versus Will Rogers.
All right, we'll go Tebow.
All right. And AJ McCarron versus Baker Mayfield.
AJ. Every time you say AJ McCarron, I think about when Nick Saban spanked him. That's all I can think about. Oh, man. We'll go the first part. Yeah, we won't go AJ.
Okay, Mayfield. Okay. All right. Next round, Joe Burrow versus Jalen Hurts.
Oh, man. It's so tough, right? I mean,
Yeah.
God, because I love Jalen Hurts. Man, what a solid dude, and the way he stepped up, and
But Joe Burrow.
yeah. But if you're talking body of work, I mean, it's got to be Burrow.
Yeah, he was lights out that one.
He's lights out. I mean, but if I had somebody take me to a national championship or the Super Bowl, it would probably be Hurts. I mean, let's be real.
All right. Vince Young versus Manziel.
They're kind of the same dude. I mean,
Yeah.
I still like Johnny, man.
Okay. All right. Cam versus Murray.
Oh, Cam all day.
All right. Tim Tebow versus Baker Mayfield.
Tim Tebow.
Okay.
The safer play.
Final four. You got Burrows versus Manziel.
Burrow.
Okay. And I already know Cam versus Tebow.
Let's go.
All right. Cam versus Burrows.
Let's go. Cam all day. And I hope you realize that was not, I know how you played that and you already knew how I was going to do that. But if you really think about it, he had, in my opinion, he had the best single season as any SEC quarterback has ever had. I mean,
he didn't have no help, no name brand help like everybody else.
exactly. Yeah. If anything, I mean, in talking about, competition barbecue, resiliency and everything, I mean, if you think about it, whenever that whole witch hunt came out, I mean, it was right before the Iron Bowl, which he freaking brought us back. I mean, 38 points. I mean, let's go. I mean, to be able to handle these outside distractions, I will say, has he gotten weird over the years? Man, he's weird as all hell. From a longevity standpoint, I would take Burrow all day but I mean, if we're talking in their collegiate career, man, the dude had the best single season that anybody I've ever seen.
I appreciate it.
What are your thoughts?
I appreciate him because he gave us a Super Bowl ring, but that's a different story. But yeah, I would say yeah, because he didn't have the help as everybody else. So
right.
He had to go out there and win that thing. So
yes, sir.
I would agree. Because even though Burrow had a season like he did, he had a lot of help.
Dude, a ton. I mean, a ton of help. I mean, at the end of the day, we're still Auburn. You know what I mean?
Exactly. So there you go. And that's all I have for the show. I appreciate you staying on.
Man, I love
the
that.
technical difficulties. So I appreciate you. I'll let you know when it comes out, and so you can collaborate on it. And anything you have to promote, you can do it now. And anybody shout out.
Dude. No, I appreciate it. Man, first and foremost, man, I appreciate you, Davis. I mean, I think what you're doing, like I said, just whenever you sent me the podcast invite, I don't know if you saw my email response, but I said, man, I've been on 50 podcasts. I was like, this is the most professional podcast invitation I've ever seen. Wow. Usually it's a text message or something, but man, you had a little thumbnail. I liked it, Man, you're a super professional guy, and I appreciate what you're doing to elevate backyard and competition barbecue cooks alike, man. There's not enough of that going on, especially during the times that we're seeing now. I want to thank my sponsors, the Butcher Shop, Kevin Green and his crew down there, man. Keeping me stocked up with ribs and brisket is phenomenal. Thank you so much. Big Papa Smokers, Sterling Ball. I'm one of the elite teams for Big Papa Smokers, dude. Thank you so much, man. And I hope you continue to grow and get better. I don't know if you guys know, but he's going through some health issues right now, man. But one of the greatest friends and mentors in barbecue. Heavy Smoke, Chris Schaefer, dear friend, man. Support him. Restaurant from the St. Louis area. One of the best, honestly, barbecue restaurants I've been He does some fun spins on some things. I mean, anything from egg rolls, which is probably my favorite, the nachos. I mean, it's anything you can do to support him. Awesome. Reach out to him, ask questions. He's a wealth of information. Man Meat Barbecue, Aaron Stoffer and his family, I think probably make some of the, if not the best injections on the planet. I mean, non-phosphates. That way I'm in control. I can add to. I use everything he creates. You should get him on the podcast and maybe look at him from like a seasoning guy. I mean, he's a scientist when it comes to this stuff. And lastly, Brad Leininger with Getting Basted. Always stocked up with his sauce, man. He's got 2 new sauces out. If you guys have not tried those, the shrimp sauce, he's got spicy and original. I'm eternally grateful to everybody. And lastly, the community of El Paso, Texas, man. You guys welcome me in like I was from here, and I know I'm not from here. But continue to support us, man, and we'll continue to support you, and we'll continue to make barbecue better, dude. One backyard at a time.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm definitely here to join in and make barbecue better and promote everybody. I definitely thank you for coming on, and definitely look forward to having you on again, because I was like,
do it.
When you said it, I was like, wow, he gave me a compliment. I was like, let me shoot this invite out real quick.
Dude, the invite is, I ain't gonna lie, dude. The invite is like, I have a calendar invite. It's not, I mean, it was very professional, dude. And you're that guy. So keep it up, man. And keep shooting your shot, dog, and spreading the barbecue love. And I'm excited to watch your journey as you continue it.
I appreciate it.
And whatever we can do for you, man, just let me know.
Hey, anybody that you run across, I mean, that want to come on, like I said, just give them the link. And once I see their name, I mean, we're good to go, because I'm not with all that first come, first serve. I don't do no.
And then, and do me a favor, send me your address, and I'll send you some of that brawler and that grill candy, man, on the house.
Okay, appreciate it. I appreciate it.
Of course, man. We appreciate you.
I appreciate it. You enjoy your day, and good. Thank you for joining us on another episode of the BBQ Therapy Podcast. My name is Tavis Bryant. Please tune in to YouTube, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, and any streaming platform near you. Please pay the secretary on your way out, and we'll see you next episode.